Good evening. Thank you for joining us for the first design meeting for Site 30E SE3, which is an elementary school opening in 2022 in the Meadow Woods, Boggy Creek area. A few notes about how this meeting will work. Attendees are automatically muted with cameras off. Please use the Q&A tool to ask questions. As you can see on your screen, these are the instructions for how to bring up the Q&A box. I'll be reading questions aloud after the presentation ends. Similar questions may be combined. The chat is available as well, but please direct any questions for the panel to the Q&A so that we can see them all there. Jose, if you could advance the slide.
Sure.
Thank you. The video icons you see probably on the top of your screen are panelists who are available to answer questions today. I'll be introducing them shortly. But if you have any technical issues, you can reach WebEx support at 1-866-229-3239. I've also put that information in the chat. If you do call them, use extension 2 and then 1. The meeting is being recorded and will be posted on the OCPS Facilities Communications YouTube page, as well as sent out as a link and also posted on the board members page. Jose, I think we're ready for the next slide. Today, we're going to cover the earliest design plans for Site 30E SE3, an elementary school, as I mentioned, opening in 2022 in the Meadow Woods, Boggy Creek area. But before we get started, let's turn to board member Linda Cobert for welcome remarks. Are you on, Linda?
I am, Lauren. Thank you. I just wanted to say good evening and thank you for everyone who's attending tonight. We've had great success with these virtual meetings, as a lot of our parents don't have to get a babysitter or cooking dinner while they're getting the information. I'm very excited about this school. This one is a long time coming. We really need that relief in the Meadow Woods area and Wyndham Lakes in particular. I'm excited about the location of this school, as it'll be located next to a future community park, and I always love when we can do that. So our facilities department and Lauren have put together a terrific presentation for you. If there are any questions that we don't get answered tonight, you can always email or call me and we'll get those answers for you as soon as possible. So welcome everybody, and I'll hand it back to you, Lauren.
Okay, thank you, Linda. So I wanted to introduce all the people who are on camera here tonight. My name is Lauren Roth. I work for the facilities department with OCPS doing communications, and board member Cobert, who you just heard from, this school is in her district. In addition, we have some of the principals on who are from schools that might be affected. I saw Margarita Ziza from Wyndham Lakes and Christy Logue from Weatherby Elementary School both come on, so welcome. The architect for this project is Ziskovich, and from Ziskovich we have Jose Merguido, George Del Castillo, and Ed Napier. The civil engineer on this project is Jay Klima from Klima Weeks. The construction manager for this project is Pertle, and Jatin Amin and Jason Krakunas are, I believe, on the call. Now there are some other folks on from different OCPS departments who can help with questions in other areas, other than just the design of the school. So we have from the program management team, we have design manager Mo Arthur, the construction planning director Jessma Lambert, planning. So project manager is a really important role. That person is the go-between between OCPS and the architect and the construction manager. And so for this project, that's Susan Deal, and Susan Deal is here. From the OCPS police, we have Randy Durkee, Commander Durkee. From transportation, we have Adam Zubritsky. From fire, health, and safety, we have Richard Kirkham. And from Orange County, their traffic division, we have Christina Pichardo Cruz. And Christina has been having trouble with her sound. So if we have a question for her, we're going to try to figure out a way to get that answer through chat. So at this point, I'm going to hand things over to Jose. Oh, wait, that's right. I always forget the rezoning slide. But before this slide, I just wanted to explain the Q&A. You can because it hasn't been determined. That process doesn't really start in earnest until the spring. At this point, schools that are affected are really just kind of a general idea. And that process starts much later. So you might wonder why we're having this meeting now. And that's because the design process is a pretty long process, actually. It takes about a year to design a school and about a year to build it. And we don't zone them until much closer to the opening date so that the zone lines are as final as possible to when the school is going to be opened. So basically, the short answer is watch out for a community meeting invite in the spring. And if you're affected, you will have an opportunity to give input before any sort of zoning lines are adopted by the school board. So Jose, let me pass things over to you.
Great, thank you, Lauren. Okay. Well, my name's Jose Merguido, and I'm delighted to be here this late afternoon to share with you the preliminary designs of the new elementary school. And here we have the vicinity plan that shows you the nearby elementaries that are in the neighborhood. And we're going to be talking about Site 30 in this lower area over here. It's just south of 417 and just east of the turnpike. So as a reference, that's where it's at. This is the vicinity area. There's just been tremendous growth, as you all know, in the south part of the county. So the school is much needed, as a board member had mentioned. Here is the site that we have on the school. It's flanked on the south by Stonewick Street here. And as the board member Colbert mentioned, there's a wonderful park immediately east of it. It has a natural preserve in this area and these picturesque lakes. So it's a very, very fitting setting for elementary school. It's a flat site, so it's already been pre-prepped. And in fact, some of our stormwater is going to go to the lake across the way. So we'll have clear access to the site, not have to dedicate land for water retention, which is a good thing. It's 10.6 acres and it's a long rectangular site. And here's how this school fits on the site. There's basically three areas that determine the site design of the school. There is an area to the east here, which is the parent drop-off area. This is where the main entrance of the school will be. There's a very, very generous queue, so we have very minimal overflow into the adjacent streets. There's 150 spaces of parking in this area, and this is where the front door of the school will go. School has a very handsome front, you'll see later on, that addresses the community, and the middle part of the campus is where the educational school will be. It'll be a two-story, as mentioned here. We also have located some spaces to the north for portables, future portables. On the west side of the school, our play fields will integrate into the adjacent park, and they have the natural preserve as a setting in that area. Our basketball courts, PE shelter, and covered play area are all in this area here. And the bus drop-off zone comes around this area here. It's also generously sized for up to 15 buses. And we've kind of discreetly tucked away the service yard into this little corner of the building, so it's out of view. So we have 15 buses, 150 parking spaces, and almost 3/4 miles of queuing of parent traffic, 212 vehicles. When we go inside the building, here's a plan of how the building lays out. This is the main entrance, the administration area, strategically located for safety and visual supervision of all entry traffic. We've wrapped all of the classrooms around the perimeter of the school, so every classroom will have natural lighting and wonderful views. In the center of the building, we've tucked in the media center and many of the labs in those areas, since they're frequented throughout the day and children aren't there the entire day. And the dining room is kind of the central great room in the space that we'll go into in a minute. I'll show you what that looks like. The kitchen is off to the west in that area. One thing I'd like to mention, the dining room, is that it has wonderful views, lots of light in this area, but you'll see in a minute. It's a two-story school, so the classrooms stack on the second floor, this location over here. And again, the second floor classrooms all have natural lighting and views as well. The design of the school is a sustainable design. It has a number of features in the site as well as in the building for sustainability. First off, we have a low water consumption design in our landscaping. We've master planned the stormwater, so we're, as I mentioned before, utilizing the master plan stormwater system across the road. The building itself is highly efficient. It has a 10% greater efficiency than code. Our chillers are high efficiency chillers. We also have a reflective roof on the building to minimize heat gain on there and minimize the amount of energy needed to cool the building. We have Energy Star rated equipment, which is super efficient equipment inside the building. Our toilets,
Jose?
yeah.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to interrupt you because we're starting to have some connection difficulties. So when that happens, it's not you. I'm going to ask all of the other panelists to please turn off their videos at this point. Just stop your video. Jose is done, and hopefully that'll help.
Okay.
Okay, so let me do that. And then you can, why don't you just restart this slide?
Okay. Well, this is our sustainability slide, and one of the things that the district has been a whole history of is designing very sustainable schools. It starts with the site planning by having low water consumption approach to planning, meaning the irrigation and the kind of landscaping that's planted is low water consumption. We've designed the site as well, so we're utilizing the lakes that are master planned into the area. So that is also going to be a highly sustainable feature. The building has a number of systems that bring in either efficient systems or design components, such as a 10% greater efficiency than code in our mechanical systems, led by the chillers that are high efficiency chillers. Our roof system on the building is a reflective roof, which reflects the heat, minimizing the heat gain in the building and thereby lowering the energy cost. And keeping the energy cost low is the equipment inside the building is Energy Star rated, which means that it again has a low energy footprint. We also save water in all of the toilets and water faucets with water saving features in them. We utilize natural lighting in the classrooms, as I mentioned, that's built into the design. So we have less dependency on artificial lighting. And our windows are thermal windows, which means that they retain the cool air that we generate inside our spaces, and the entire building is automated from a climate control section, so it's all kind of automatic. Now let's go inside the building, and you see some of the things that you'll experience when the school is built. This is the Welcome Administration Center. It's a welcome center as well as a high security entrance. These doors that you see in here are part of our single point of entrance. All visitors will be checked into this area, and only authorized visitors will be able to come through here. So it's a highly secure school. It's also a school that has a rich technology component to it. This is our media center, and we're kind of looking at the Genius Bar in this location here. But there's also areas for casual reading, story time, group work, and many, many volumes of books, as well as interactive of technology integrated throughout the space. The classrooms also have a strong component of technology in them. Here's our interactive boards in every classroom. They're generously sized. They have built-in storage for both the instructional aids as well as student backpacks in this area here. They have accent colors as well, and every one along this side over here will have windows that look out to the views. Art's an important component to the curriculum. This is our art lab in here, again, with interactive technology, but highly durable furniture in this area, spaces for wet projects, plenty of storage area in here, and tack walls and to show the student work. Science is also an important component of curriculum. And here's our science lab in here, again, with an interactive screen in this area, plenty of storage spaces in this location here, movable furniture so they could be moved out of the way for projects or STEM type activities that could be accommodated in this space. Music is also an important component of the school. This is our music lab in here. You can see risers in this location, fully outfitted with all types of instruments, built-in storage to put them away. And with the music lab like that, you need a place to perform. So this is both the dining space as well as the multi-purpose area. Here's the lights, the windows that I had mentioned earlier. It has a nice performance stage over here. It has also doors that allow you for easy after-hours entrance. Wellness is an important component of the school. Take advantage of the park that's next door, but also providing places for structured play. This is the primary and kindergarten areas with the shade structure in there. These areas also lead to the adjacent park, as you saw on the site plan. So all that is in the design phase. As Lauren mentioned, we're in the schematic phase in this blue bar over here. We're about to further the design in a development phase that will take us through the end of the year, where then we will generate the construction documents. And in the spring, we will be pretty much doing the permitting and bidding on the project. And we're on target to break ground in the project in mid-June of 2021 for the school opening in August 2022. So with that, I'd like to turn it back to Lauren so she could close for us.
Okay, thanks, Jose. Can everyone hear me? Jose, can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Good, okay. That means I should be on. If we start to have any bandwidth problems again, I'll drop my video. I was told that some of what I said about the rezoning slide dropped out, so I just wanted to repeat that. Jose, if you don't mind, you know what, go ahead to the Q&A slide first.
Okay.
If you don't mind, I just want to show that to people one more time.
Wait, I'm sorry, Lauren, which slide did you want?
The first slide, the Q&A how-to.
Okay.
Okay. For anyone who hopped on late, I wanted you to see this. This is how you can put in a question for us to answer. And I did want to also mention that Diana Almodovar, who's the Director of Public Works for the County of Orange County, she's on the call too, as well as Michael Gallo from our program management team, just some folks I didn't catch the first time around. Jose, if you could bring up the zoning slide, I'd like to re-explain that and then start to go through the question.
Can you see it? Lauren, can you see the slide?
I'm hoping.
Lauren, you broke up again.
Yeah, we can see I can see the slide, Jose.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, good. Am I coming through clearly or am I breaking up?
You're breaking up.
You're breaking up.
I'm going to turn my video off.
Okay, I'm going to try that also. Okay. So rezoning, the school will be zoned in spring of 2021. If someone doesn't mind dropping in the chat whether my sound is clear or not, I would appreciate that. So this school won't be zoned until closer to when the school's opening. The school will be opening in August of 2022. Thank you, Danielle, for letting me know I'm clear. So we're just going to leave these videos off. So this school will be opening in August of 2022. The community meetings for the rezoning process will begin in spring of 2021. Schools aren't zoned until closer to when they open so that the residential numbers will be as close as possible to what they will be when the school opens. Okay, so with that, I'm going to start with some questions that have come through in the chat and Q&A since the beginning. Somebody asked where this presentation could be found. So you are able to save it directly from WebEx, but probably the easiest thing for everybody, it's actually been posted at facilities.ocps.net. It's also on board member Cobert's page. If you go to ocps.net, choose school board member, choose Linda, and it's there also. Esma, if you're able to unmute, there was a question about whether there's an additional elementary school being planned for the Sawgrass area off Weatherby Road. Can you help with that?
The Sawgrass area off Weatherby Road?
The Sawgrass area, which is off of Weatherby Road, is the way it was described. Does that ring a bell?
It does not at the moment. No.
Okay.
Our 10-year plan does not include a school at that site that I'm aware of.
Okay.
But we can check, and if the answer is different, I will let you know, and you could post that.
Okay. Thank you. Jay, I think these next couple questions are probably going to be best for you. There was a question about the flow on Wyndham Lakes. So if you could tackle that one first, and then the Stonewick piece, maybe just kind of explain what those two questions were, and then if you could answer them both.
Okay. Yeah, so Wyndham Lakes is the main boulevard that's north of where the school site is. So you actually access from Wyndham Lakes down Keneal Bay Road to Stonewick. The school board's access is 100% just off of Stonewick. That's the only frontage that the site has. So as far as the traffic patterns go, we would be coming from Wyndham Lakes for those folks down Keneal Bay south and turn left onto Stonewick. The way the site is set up, we have the entrance and the exit is at the driveway all the way to the right-hand side of the picture, which is the east end of the campus. And we have 2 lanes that would accept traffic coming into the site. And those 2 lanes, as you can see with the arrows, we've got tons of stacking that Jose had mentioned earlier in the presentation. And then when you're exiting at the driveway, primarily these folks are probably going to be going back to the west, which would be back to Keneal Bay. The last thing I'll just mention real quick, Lauren, is I know there's some questions related to traffic signals, either at Wyndham Lakes and Keneal or at Keneal and Stonewick. Neither of those are adjacent to the school site, and as of right now, I'm not aware of any conversation about traffic signals at either of those places from the county. I don't know if the county participant tonight would be able to answer that any more definitively, but I'm not aware of any traffic signals.
Okay. Diana, are you able to unmute?
I'm here.
Great.
Mr. Klima, the signal at what location did you mention?
Yeah, the questions that are coming in, Diana, are at Wyndham Lakes Boulevard and Keneal Bay, which is to the north and west of the site. Wyndham Lakes is a 4-lane divided. Keneal Bay is a 2-lane divided. So that's one of the intersections that was being asked about. And I think just in general, they were asking if there were traffic signals being planned anywhere in the area. So.
Well, the traffic signal plan in the area is actually at the county line with Osceola County and Ward Road. That's to the south, so that doesn't really include anywhere that close to the school. But at Keneal Bay, we have not, and Wyndham, we have not done a study, but once the school opens, if we find there is a concern regarding that intersection, we will conduct a signal warrant analysis, and if warranted, then we'll move it forward for requests for funding and for implementation. But the traffic has to be there in order for us to warrant the signal.
Okay, thank you, Diana, because we also had a separate question that was kind of asking more generally whether there would be any traffic lights added. So I think that answers that.
Okay.
Okay, so there were a couple questions that I can just answer. Someone asked when the school's opening. It's to open in August of 2022. And there was a question about the student capacity. Is that 833?
It's 8:37, yes.
837, thank you. There was a question, Jesma, if we're planning a middle school in this area.
The middle school there is no middle school plan for that area.
Okay.
No.
And a gentleman.
The middle school, the next middle school planned is more in the Lake Nona area for Lake Nona relief, but not in the Meadow Woods area. We are currently renovating Meadow Woods Middle School. And that's the only activity in the area going on for a middle school right now.
Okay, and Jesma, while I've got you, there are a couple other questions about future development in terms of school sites. Someone said that the Sawgrass School is site 112E SE3, that it was purchased recently, like last couple years, and that they thought that it was opening in 2022.
No, we do not have a site 112 in our 10-year plan. We purchase sites way ahead of time because of all the entitlements and everything we have to do to get the sites ready. And so just because we purchase a site doesn't mean that we're going to build a school on it in the next couple of years or so.
Yeah, I didn't see it in the list.
It's not.
Yeah. And there was a question about any high schools in the area or when the next high school in the area might be.
Okay, we have a high school site 50HSE2, which is a relief high school for, I believe it is Cypress Creek relief. No, it's Lake Nona High School relief. And that is coming on in 2025. Then we have a site 119HSE3, which is I believe the Cypress Creek relief, and that is in 2029.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Jesma. And I've noticed that some questions have been coming in through the chat. If you could please use the Q&A, that helps us answer them for you, because we're reading off of the Q&A and we're even trying to answer some of them during the meeting here. Okay, the next question in the Q&A, I think, Jay, it's probably going to be you. The parent drop-off proximity to Lake Preserve's main entrance is concerning. Can opening Ward Road to Lake Nona Boulevard be considered as part of this scope to help alleviate traffic in/out for Lake Preserve and Creekstone? You know what, maybe this is actually a Diana question. I don't think the question is really about our site, because Ward Road's not on our site. So Diana, let me repeat that. The question is whether Ward Road can be opened to Lake Nona Boulevard.
And the answer is all going to be developer driven. There's a parcel that is still not developed by just south of Lake Nona Boulevard that we have expressed many times to the developer when they come for change orders or for changes to the land use plan, that we we are still looking for that connection to be made, but this would be a developer-driven connection once that parcel comes in, and they have not yet come in for development of that parcel. But yes, the answer, yes, there will be a connection to Lake Nona. It's just uncertain as to when.
Thank you. And Diana, the next question's for you too. It says, will Caneel Bay Boulevard be widened and extended into Osceola Parkway?
Well, we have had numerous discussions with the Osceola County staff. At this time, as you can see, if you look at an aerial photograph, they constructed a retention pond where the Caneel Bay Boulevard touches the county line. So at this time, we are not either us nor Osceola County pursuing that connection, but I will not take that off the table because we would love to see that connection. But again, it will entail some costs and relocation of a pond and another location for potential location for a pond would be required. So it's and this is in Osceola County. So we continue to bring this connection up to Osceola County every time on a quarterly basis when we meet with them. But I will again bring it up at the next quarterly meeting since the residents of the area are asking. Okay.
Great. Thank you, Diana. George, this might be a question you could help with, or Jose. There's a question, how many classrooms per grade level?
I can answer that. So right now we have, in total, we have 47 classrooms. Of that, we have 2 pre-K classrooms, 6 kindergarten classrooms, 22 primary classrooms, which is grade 1 through 3, 11 intermediate classrooms, grades 4 to 5, 4 resource rooms, an art, a music, and 2 skills labs. That's the brunt of the educational component.
Great, thank you. Jay, I'm not sure if this is you or not. Have we done a traffic study? Are we doing a traffic study? Do we know the timing and who's going to do that?
Sorry about that, on mute.
I was wondering.
So we're trying to all work this deal. I know there's been a preliminary study done for the site, which is typically done, but that's for function of the school site itself. In terms of its impact on adjacent areas, I don't believe that's been fully done yet because we are just now looking at where our driveway conditions are. So there's probably an upcoming effort related to that. Just so everybody's clear, though, that doesn't include looking off-site typically at other intersections like Wyndham Lakes and Caneel Bay for traffic signals, because the school board would not be participating in that, being as far away as that is from the school site.
Thank you for clarifying. That's helpful. There's a question. I'm not 100% sure I'm following the question. It reads, does this school take in the capacity planned on J. Lawson without portables? I'm not 100% sure I understand that question. The 837 capacity that I stated does not include any portable capacity. We just show where those portables are on the site plan because we have utilities going out there, and that's where they would go. Yeah, thanks for showing that, Jose. I'm not sure if I answered your question though. So if that was your question, question was from Lizette. If you don't mind just clarifying what exactly you meant by that. Okay, another question. When can programming such as dual language be discussed? So that would be a administrative decision from our teaching and learning side. I'm not sure if we have anyone from the area superintendent's office on right now. But we will have other meetings, actually several other meetings before this school opens. there will be a meeting at the 100% design stage, and there will be another meeting at the 40% construction stage. Usually by the 40% construction meeting, we can give you an idea of, whether the school's going to have before and after school care, who's going to be providing that, because we'll have a principal by then. But typically the way OCPS does it is the school opens first and then might add some sort of magnet program later. It would not typically be done before it opens. Okay, so question about the community park. I don't know if this would be a Jay question or a county question, but there was a question of whether the park is being built at the same time as the school. Can someone speak to that?
Well, this is Jay, but somebody from Diana may know, I'm not sure, but I'm not aware of a schedule for the development of the community park. That would be an Orange County Parks function.
And I don't have that information either on the community park to provide to you. I can inquire within and give you, send you an email with that, but I don't have that information with me.
Okay,
Hi,
well.
hi Lauren, this is Steven.
Oh, hey, Steven.
Hi. So that community park isn't actually an Orange County park. That is a HOA park. So we've been communicating with the prior developer, Lennar, as well as the HOA management company to discuss the timelines for the construction of that park. Right now, nothing's been finalized, but we've been in contact with them for that.
Great, thank you so much. There was a question about how to download the presentation. If it's not giving you that option under your file and edit menus, really there's an easy way to do it. You just go to facilities.ocps.net, and I've posted the presentation there as a PDF. So if it's not immediately apparent how to do it in WebEx, don't worry about it. You can just get it that way. I will also be sharing a link, by the way, to the full video, so you can hear the questions and answers again. I just wanted to share there are a couple people who have expressed concerns about the traffic and asked again about the traffic study. And I did just want to reiterate what Diana had explained, is that you don't want to do a traffic study before the school opens, because then you're not getting the school traffic in the numbers, in terms of looking at like widening or lights. If you did it before the school opens, you're not getting the impact of the school in those numbers. And so that would typically be done after the school opens to see if there are any changes created by the school that would then warrant, additional work being done. Diana, do you want to add anything else to that?
That is correct. Now we usually look also at left turn lanes into the school coming eastbound on Stonewick Street. So we will be asking those questions with the traffic analysis conducted for the school for the need for left turn lanes at the entrance to the main parking and at the bus drop-off entrance. How many buses do you expect to have at the school?
We won't know until the school's zoned,
Okay.
But we're building the queuing for 15.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, and to, someone, as Diana was speaking, kind of commented again about wanting to be proactive. And for sure, like Diana was saying, they are looking at ways to make the traffic flow well even before the school opens. But you don't want to do a traffic study before it opens that doesn't show the impact, because then it wouldn't show as being warranted. Okay, there's a question about, will the north grassy areas be fenced off for security, or will this all be open space? And the answer was the red dashed line north of the bus loop and west of the main parking lot is the fence location. So that area is completely secured. So if you can see that on your screen, that red dashed line is all fence line. Diana, there was a comment in here, maybe just for you to respond to, saying that a study has already been done and Orange agreed to pay for the light for Ward Road and Simpson.
This,
So I don't know anything about this, so I'm going to bounce that to you.
this is a collaborative effort between Osceola County and and Orange County, and there's going to be some shared costs on the signal that the Board of County Commissioners had approved previously. However, the signal will be implemented with the final design of Simpson Road, which is being spearheaded by Osceola County, not Orange County. So that's where we're at right now. So,
Thank you for clarifying. That makes sense.
you're welcome.
There was another question about the fence. There is a fence between the school site and townhomes. It's a 6-foot black vinyl chain link fence. So in other words, it's a chain link fence that's been wrapped in black vinyl, and I believe it's 6 feet. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, anybody. There was also a question about whether there will be a VPK class. And again, Jose or George, correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is we're building it as if it's going to have VPK, but then that would be an operational decision when we get closer to opening the school.
George, what was the count on the kindergarten VPK?
Yeah, as far as the pre-K is 2 classrooms. So yeah, like Lauren mentions, internally operation, that's an administrative decision, but it'll be 2 VPKs and 6 kinders. 2 pre-K and 6 kinders.
Okay, so it's being built to have 2 VPKs, but the
Yeah, as the facilities list states from OCPS, it says it's 2 pre-kinders and 6 kindergarten class.
okay. And
Yeah.
you know that whether they're actually divided up that way will be determined closer to when the school opens. Okay, so Lizette, thank you for clarifying your question, saying that there's 10 development on J. Lawson very close by. Will these homes push us into portables sooner than later? Well, what I can definitely tell you is that when the zoning is done, it will include future development. They are aware of those sorts of things and they plan with them. And I think we answered the VPK question. Question about looking at the map, is there a paved connection between the parking lot and the basketball courts / covered PE shelter? Jay.
Yeah, that although it's the same gray color, that's extent of the road is actually a stabilized fire access. Whoever's got the pointer can probably.
Oh, okay, right here?
Yeah, right there. That's not actually paved. That'll be a stabilized road that's required to be able to allow emergency vehicles to get to the covered shelter and the portables.
Thank you. Stephen, I think this might be you. Question, what HOA does the community park fall under? Does it fall under an HOA? Maybe that'll make sense to you.
It does. I am trying to search through my emails because I know we're working with an HOA management company, so I'm not exactly sure what HOA they're managing. So that's something I'd have to get some information on.
Okay. I see a question, another question about a wall on a different side of the school. We don't have walls going up where you see the red dashed line. There is fencing. Oh, and Dr. Sheila Wyndham is on the call. She's the executive area director. I am going to find out why we can't see her in just a second here and pull her up, and then she can kind of answer better than I was for sure on all that programming stuff. So she said that we work with teaching and learning to see what programs will be offered at the school. All right. So Adam, we've got one for you. Regarding bus transportation routes, will that be determined once rezoning has been established? Can you go ahead, Adam, and explain how that works?
Okay, so when they rezone, then it'll determine who's actually going to be eligible for busing to this particular school rather than another school, because if the zoning changes, then they may be getting bused to a different school, or they may be within walking distance to this one, whereas they would have been getting a bus to another school prior to this. So then, yes, that would determine it. So once that's completed, it still may not actually populate as to who's going to be on the buses, because that would probably be more over the summer before the school opens, as you know, determining how many buses are there, how many individuals are actually living there, how many students are registered for that school.
Great, thank you so much, Adam. Dr. Wyndham, you are now a panelist. If you could, can you try to unmute yourself? Dr. Wyndham? Darn, all right. I'll keep seeing if I can figure out what's going on, because we've definitely got some questions for you. Question on school capacity, so that's 837 student stations. They're asking about the parking and the buses. Well, okay, to clarify, parents will come in and drop their students off, so of course there won't need to be as many parking spots as students. And the queuing is for 212 vehicles, so the idea is that cars would move during pickup and drop off, and the reason we have that long back and forth is so that as many cars as possible can stay on our property. And yes, there will be buses also, and they would come in from that other side. More concerns about traffic. You know, totally makes sense. I understand what people are asking. I really appreciate Ms. Almodovar being here, because when we get off our property, that's not OCPS, which is why we work with our partners in the county. Question, is the school going to start maintaining the area by the street? Right now, Lake Preserve has to maintain it because of meritage and community and county agreements. Stephen, can you speak to how that works? You know, with our borders and who maintains what. And
Lauren, I got a little cut out. Could you repeat that for me?
Sure. The question was, is the school going to start maintaining the area by the street? Right now, Lake Preserve has to maintain it because of meritage and county agreements.
Generally, we maintain everything that is within our boundary. So right now, it would really just be mowing and light property maintenance. If I'm not sure if the questioner is asking about like sidewalk maintenance or street maintenance or anything like that, that's not something that we typically get into.
I think the question is about landscaping.
Well, anything on our property, you know, we have to maintain. So if there's issues with landscaping today or when the school is constructed, I mean, that's something that we can take care of today. But outside of our property isn't something that we normally get into.
Gotcha. Thank you. If everyone could bear with me for just a moment, I want to try to see what I can do to get Dr. Wyndham on. There was another HOA question. Stephen, I don't know if you can get into the Q&A, but there was a question about HOA access to the park. I'll read it out in just a minute if you're not able to find it. Dr.
No, I see it.
Okay, go ahead on that, and then I'm going to try again with Dr.
Okay. So this is really an agreement that we have had way back when this property was being developed in this whole area that we've had with Lennar, who was the original developer of the area. The agreement is that the park is generally going to be open just for OCPS use during the day, but then outside of school hours, the park typically opens up to the community for their use. That's how a lot of these community parks that we have shared agreements with operate, where during the day it's really for our exclusive use, and then at night or on the weekends it's open up to the public. So that might change over time, but right now just that original agreement from years ago, that's kind of how it's spelled out.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Dr. Wyndham, I know we can see you, so can you try your audio? It looks like you just muted. Okay.
Yes, can you hear?
We can hear you. Yay.
Okay.
Okay, is there anything that I addressed on the teaching and learning side already that you would like to, add to and clarify?
No. I was just clarifying what you said when you asked about the programs. We look at the demographics, and we work closely with teaching and learning as to what would be beneficial for the school based upon what programs we have available. So that kind of happened closer to the opening of the school. I was just clarifying that, but that was it.
Fabulous. Okay, and there's another question that's definitely in your wheelhouse. They're asking what the typical pickup and drop-off hours would be for an elementary school.
Typical hours are they start roughly around 8:30, so they'll drop off it, and that goes back to depending upon what programs we have. If there would be a program there that may be an after-school program or something like that, but normal pickup normally is about I want to say about 8:30, 8:45. 8:30 is mostly the time that they start because they vary in about 15 minutes within different locations, but normally it's around 8:30 that they start, and they end about 3 o'clock. So normally about 2:50 parents are coming, and then they're leaving at 3 o'clock for pickup.
Great, thank you, Dr. Wyndham. There's a question, where will parents park for school events? So once the parking is taken, typically schools will line cars along the bus loop. They can sometimes, depending on the layout, line some additional cars along the parent queuing area, as long as they don't block in any parked cars. And, you know, depending on how flat the green space areas are, sometimes, you know, those can be used also. But there's definitely capacity beyond those main spots. There's another question about road widening. I think it's somewhat similar to other questions, but Jay was kind enough to answer it, so I'm going to read it. Will Stonewick Street and Keneal Bay Boulevard be widened? Answer, there is a potential for a left turn lane being added to Stonewick at the school entrances. However, this has not been confirmed yet. If required, they would be constructed by OCPS as part of the school development. Keneal Bay widening would not be included. There was a question, will the trees on Stonewick right off the road be preserved? Jay, do we know? Or George?
What I would say is, this is Jay, anything out in the Stonewick Street right away, obviously the trees would remain other than where the driveways are proposed. The only other thing that could potentially impact those is if Stonewick does actually get widened, if we got to add a third lane, then there's a potential that trees would be impacted there.
Okay, and Jay, while we've got you, it says, you know, many questions have been asked about traffic on Stonewick. What are the next steps? So what's next in that process?
Well, the school board will have their traffic consultant complete and actually the rest of the traffic study related to the school function, and they'll make the determination on the turn lanes. That'll be reviewed with Orange County Public Works. That was what Diana was referring to earlier. And out of that dialogue, it'll be determined if the turn lanes are needed.
Okay, thank you. There's another question about walls. We don't build walls on our school sites the vast majority of the time. They are built with fences. So you can see the fence line in red dashed lines on this site plan. There's a question about the design related to parking. If the parking is going to be used by the park community, wouldn't it make more sense to put the parking next to the park? And Mo Arthur answered, there is some additional parking provided for park access. The main parking lot is for school access. So the primary purpose of the parking is for the school, so it's been designed that way. What communities are the students at the school from? As I was explaining, the school has not been zoned yet. If there was a chance that we thought your school might be impacted, you were invited to this meeting. But once we get closer into spring 2021, when the rezoning starts, student enrollment will call parents at the affected schools and invite them to be part of the process. Okay.
Lauren, can I add to that?
Yep, go ahead, Jesma.
So right now, the schools that are targeted to be relieved by this school are Wyndham Lakes, Oakshire, and Weatherby.
I had gotten clarification from Carol about a week ago that Oakshire will most likely not be affected, and there was a chance that Meadow Woods Elementary might be.
Okay.
we put them all on the slide just so that people could see the positioning. But yeah, that's why I'm trying not to be super specific, as it's really so far down the line at this point. Okay, I know there are a bunch of questions that were put into chat, so I'm going to try to see if I can get to those. Okay, we got the high school question. How will the nearby home property values be impacted negatively or positively when the property taxes be raised due to the new school? I'm going to bounce this one over to Stephen, but generally speaking, schools increase nearby property values. Stephen, do you want to take that off?
Sure. So generally, yeah, that's not a question. I mean, there's nobody on OCPS staff that is a certified property appraiser. But
Right.
generally, there isn't usually either much change to property tax rolls, and that's really more dependent on home values on a larger scale, not just because of one development, but generally there's not much change, or it's a positive change because a lot of people do value homes being close to a school. So, but I can't answer that 100% because that's not what I do. But that's best the answer I can give.
Understood. Yeah, it's a little bit outside of our scope, but we really try to be good neighbors and be contributing to the community. And I know we're in kind of strange times right now, but in normal times, our schools are regularly open for community events and that sort of thing. There's a question: when will the hiring process begin? Dr. Wyndham, I'd like to bounce that one to you. I know the principal is usually hired in the first couple months of the calendar year in which the school will open. So with the school opening in August 2022, we'd expect to see a principal on early in 2022.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Mm-hmm.
Around December, put on the calendar to start meeting with HR and develop timelines to go ahead and advertise and hire for that principal so they can start the ground. So the meetings will take place in December between HR and the learning community.
Great. And then once the principal has been named, usually when do they start hiring? Like usually what month for an elementary school?
Well, it depends upon the timeline. If they are hired in January, so I'm not sure with everything. I mean, that's HR working with them to find out what the timeline will be. But we will start talking with them in December. So it very well could be that it's advertised in January, and by that time the person comes on and they start hiring. They have an alternative site where they would work from, which probably would be the Southeast Learning Community. And that's where they start developing their plan, hiring their staff, working on putting all the ground, laying the foundation for the school. So it really depends upon when we're advertising, and I don't know that information quite yet.
Great, thank you. I'm trying to turn my camera back on. I know that was causing bandwidth problems before, so I'm going to give this a shot. Question: who's paying for this school? Which property owners should expect to see an additional tax on their tax rolls for this school? No, it doesn't work like that. All of it across Orange County, all of the voters in Orange County in 2002 approved a sales tax for school construction. It was renewed in 2014. And new schools like this one, which is a relief school, a lot of those funds come from developers. They have to pay funds into the school district to offset the effects of the development. Stephen, can I tap you for a much better explanation than I can give?
I'll do my best. Generally, the sales tax was adopted, approved, and it's been in effect for many years now, and still is in effect today. But the school was generally, most of our new schools, our relief schools, are built with impact fees that are collected. So every new property owner, new house that gets built pays impact fees, which goes towards new capacity. So considering that we don't have too many new schools in our CIP for this area, a lot of the people, all the new residents and lots out here, their impact fees are likely being paid to fund this particular school. So it's impact fees, It's the property taxes and then also the sales tax. So all combined goes to the school funding.
Exactly. So taxpayers, across Orange County since 2002 have been paying into a pot of money for new schools. You're getting one in your community now. And then with relief schools like these, there are fees paid by developers in the area. Question, is the school being built with social distancing options in mind due to the current uncertainty? Okay. So what I can tell you is that there are some design changes being made to our school designs overall. Because of the current situation. So we're moving toward things like touchless fixtures in the bathroom, so that there are fewer touch points, bathrooms where you can go around a corner and then another corner as opposed to touching a door. We do put plexiglass barriers up in that main office area that you saw the pictures of. But if you're asking, like, if we're counting the students and the student enrollment at like 50% capacity, no, that's the numbers that would be at a typical capacity, because the current situation that we're in is supposed to be temporary. So there are design changes that we are making to try to make schools, a healthy, positive environment for our kids. But we're not like cutting school capacities in half or anything like that. So hopefully that answers the question. Panelists, if you could help me, I've been trying to keep my eyes on the Q&A and chat, and I'm afraid I might have missed something. Is there anything that you saw, like in your own area, that maybe I missed?
Lauren, I could, there was a question that was about public transportation to the school.
Great, I didn't see that.
So, that's not something that OCPS really gets into. If there's availability of a current route, we might provide provision for a bus stop. But I know all public transportation is really decided by links. So you would need to talk to them about getting any sort of public transit service instilled throughout the community for the school. And that's not something that we have at many of our schools. So it's, in my opinion, it's probably not likely for the school, but I won't say it's impossible.
Yeah, I think that would be more likely with a high school, right? But I mean, that's certainly, Diana's on the call with Public Works, so or Christina, if they can pass that along, I'm sure they will. Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions at this point. Certainly, if you have them, go ahead and type them in. But I'd like to turn the floor over to Linda again for some closing remarks, just to give people a little more time in case you have more questions. Linda, is there anything you wanted to say before we close out?
There we are. Oop, can you hear me?
You are unmuted now.
Okay, very good. I think you guys did a really great job. There are always many, many questions as we approach opening a new school. Remember, this one opens in 2022. So there's a lot of work to be done between now and then. This is just the 30% design meeting. And one of the reasons we do this meeting is to find out what your questions are, find what your concerns are, and sometimes go back and make some adjustments. So we will be having another design meeting. You can feel free to continue to send us your questions or any concerns or ideas that you have, and we'll take those back to the team. You can send those to me. My email is linda.cobert@ocps.net. And again, if we haven't answered your questions tonight, we'll be happy to work on getting those questions if you think of something that comes up later. So thank you, everybody, for coming. Lauren and team, great job tonight. And thank you to everybody who's come to participate. This is your school coming in your community, and that's what these meetings are all about. So thank you.
Awesome. And you guys can probably hear me typing right now, but I'm just putting Linda's email address and my email address in the chat so that you can potentially grab those before the meeting ends here. And there was one more question that came through. Jasma, I think this is perhaps an AP question, kind of asking about the forecasting. The question is, what is the correlation between when this property was acquired and when the two new communities, Lennar and Meritage, were developed? What additional studies have been done since the acquisition and the new communities? Without Tommy on the line, Jessica, can you just kind of speak to how we project when students are coming and how that plays into when we build schools?
Well, Lauren mentioned AP, and that stands for Advanced Planning. We have a committee made up of a demographer, folks from student enrollment, real estate management, budget, and it's a holistic group, and we look at when the needs of new schools, we look at when the needs are going to be, when we'll need new schools based on plan development, based on what's platted and what we think the development would produce in terms of students. And there's a formula that's used that's agreed upon with the county to determine per household or per community how many students will be we anticipate to come out of that community, be it elementary, middle, and high school. So in essence, we do have a demographer that looks at all of the numbers and determines what the enrollment projections and the forecast are going to be short-term and long-term. Our projections are based on 10-year enrollment. Our projections are forecasted out 10 years. So based on what the numbers look like in all the communities, we looked at the schools that are being affected by those projected numbers to determine where and when we need new schools. So the long and short of it is the information or the growth, we look, the demographer projects all of the information out 10, sometimes 20 years out to forecast what our needs are. And so, yeah, it's a very detailed process that he looks at. And so any new development will be in his database to determine where our needs are, how many students will come out of those developments.
Thank you. And if this is a topic that's of interest on the OCPS Facilities Communication YouTube channel, there are some explainers of this process. There's a comment really saying that the formula is flawed regarding roads and traffic. And I did want to clarify that the formula is to figure out when there's going to be a need for the school in terms of there will be enough students for OCPS to need to open an elementary school. Our formula is not about traffic. It's about the need for an elementary school. And that's how we figure out when to open. The roads are not ours, they're the county's. And that's why we work with our great partners with Orange County on roadways because that's their area. I thought there was one more question that came in about transportation, but now I'm not seeing it. Let me see if I can get that to come back up. But I do think we answered, that the busing will be determined later as we get closer into the school opening. So the next meeting about this school will be most likely in the spring, further toward the end of the school year. Because you're here, you'll know about it. And so I just want to thank everybody for taking the time to join us today. This presentation will be, it'll be put on the OCPS Facilities Communications YouTube channel if you wanted to watch it again. If you're just interested in the presentation, that's already been posted both on Board Member Cobert's page and on the OCPS Facilities Communications page, which is facilities.ocps.net. So thank you all very much for your interest and your participation. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you, Linda.